Welcome back to the YouTube, and today's gonna be an absolute mission. So I've got to consume 500 grams of carbs in today's full day of eating video. So I'm gonna take you through meal by meal how I consume that in to fuel my performance in the gym and help get fucking wham. First meal, as always, is gonna be 2 bagels, 4 eggs, and the godsend of all carbs, malt loaf. So let's get wham. Jesus Christ, it's another cold one as always, but one of the unfortunate things about the winter, which I really hate, is starting personal training in the dark and finishing in the dark majority of the time. So I literally get no sunlight, so I'm literally as pasty as an albino majority of the year, even in the summer, which is unfortunate. So my goal for this year is to try and get out and get my bald head a little bit more sun so I don't look as pasty anymore. So with meals for today's video, I always structure them in a specific way, and there is a reason for that. When we're bulking, we are fueling performance. So the reason why I don't have as many carbs in the morning, even though bagels do have a fair amount, is I basically want to have a more sustainable amount of energy until kind of pre-training. So what I used to find when I first started my fitness journey is I'd always have like a shit ton of carbs in the morning, and then I'd have a really, really bad energy crash come the afternoon, sort of like 12 o'clock. And obviously then I'd need to pick me up, and then it would just crash again, pick me up, crash again. So what I found is having more of like a protein fats meal in the morning just helps me to have a little bit more sustainable energy up until the afternoon, which is then when I get my pre-workout meal in. So although like I do have some carbs in here in the first meal with the malt loaf and the bagels, it's purely just to get those extra carbs in, but it's not as high as my pre and post workout meals. And this will be the same as when I'm doing my diets as well. So when I did my photo shoot prep, my first meal was an egg white omelette or a normal omelette with cheese and ham, and then I had salad, which would be like the kind of small amount of carbs you'd get there. And then the rest of the day would be backloading the carbohydrates, so having a lot pre and post training, and then whatever's left I'd then top up at dinner time. Oh crap, pun intended, I actually need a fat shit, but gotta hold it for 3 hours before my final few clients finish. So let's get those clients trained hard.
One eternity later.
Definitely would not go in there. Feel like a new man though. Quick little pit stop before my next block of clients with obviously a can of Monster. Not the best flavour, but it will do. But honestly, this is like the best sound ever in the world. Like if I could just hear this on repeat all the time, it'd be fucking good. That was almost a fail. You know what time it is. It is time to have my pre-workout meal. I've finished my morning clients. They all fucking smashed it. Everyone is at the point now in their programs where they are sort of week 5 in of an 8-week training block. So things are getting heavy, things are getting more intense. We're pushing a little bit more to failure, pushing past that burn a little bit more. And then obviously once we get to week 8 of the program or week 12, depending on how long the program is, we'll then swap out some exercises that potentially we are getting bored of, not really feeling, not progressing enough on, or we've stalled on for a little bit. And then, yeah, it starts again basically. So I'm actually currently preparing a post on my client Andy this afternoon, who looks fucking incredible. He looks so lean from when he first started. He is actually, believe it or not, gaining weight still. So he's gaining weight. We're gonna finish his gaining phase at the end of this month. But because we're still lean, we've got a lot longer to go. So we're gonna keep pushing it back a little bit, and maybe to the end of March, middle of March, at some point around then, and then diet down for his holiday. As he lives by himself, he's got no extra real kind of barriers to kind of stop him from going a bit more aggressive in his fat loss phase. And that's really important when you are going into dieting and stuff with an aggressive approach. Everything has to be in line. You've got to make sure you've got no extra stresses, no barriers to stopping you from, doing a more of aggressive approach, make sure we're getting the cardio in and stuff like that. So that works for Andy. So that's what we're going to adopt coming towards the end of March, middle of March, for his holiday to Japan at the end of the year. So it's going to be a sick transformation to show off all the muscle that he's built in his gaining phase. So pre-workout, as you know, is always cream of rice, but I've got a different combination today. So I've got 130 grams of chocolate orange complete strength cream of rice. I've got 30 grams of whey protein, which is the salted popcorn flavor, which weirdly actually is really good. It tastes like a dark chocolate, Terry's chocolate orange with sea salt in, which is banging. And I've also got some fats in from the dark chocolate, 25 grams. So I tend to have this an hour and a half, an hour before I train. It's just so it settles and digests and stores within my muscles, ready to be used on the hack squat, where my spleen will be making an appearance as always. And yeah, and then this will digest really well from then. And then I'll then have my post-workout later. So I tend to have a lot of my carbs around my training, purely because, like I said earlier on in the vlog, we need to fuel performance. So I tend to have around 100 to maybe 150 in a gaining phase of carbs before I train. And then I'll have nearly the same, if not a little bit more, after I train. And then the rest of the carbs then are distributed across the day. So obviously I have the bagels in the morning, which has some carbs in, but it's probably the lowest meal of the day, purely because I don't really necessarily like having a lot of carbs in the morning. So I'm gonna crack on with eating this, finish off this post about Andy, celebrate his wins as always, and then I'm gonna go smash some legs. So I have made an absolute rookie mistake. I left my whey protein at home in the shaker. So we've resulted into almond milk with just my cereal today for post-workout. So I'll leave the calories with the protein powder on the screen, but I will actually be having it later. So I've had to, because I bought a different milk. So this is the benefit of tracking your calories before you start the day. If you delete something, we've got more time to make any corrections. So because I've chosen to have almond milk rather than soy milk, I've got a few extra calories to make up. So I'm gonna have some extra malt loaf when I get home and dunk it into the protein powder, which sounds pretty grim, but it's actually really good. And I recommend trying it if you are kind of struggling to get food in. Sometimes mixing weird things like that can actually help. So we have got 140 grams of Cocoa Pop flakes, I guess, with 450 mils of almond milk. And then I would normally have the 30 grams of whey. Now, I normally go for sort of like a rice-based cereal, as it tends to digest really well, but these were cheap and I haven't had these in fucking ages. So I'm gonna have this, but the elite cereal, if I had the calories, would be Crave. Crave are insane. I think when I was at uni, I had literally a box of it every single day and I would just eat it dry. Those are the good old days. So yeah, that's the elite cereal. This will normally be much higher in carbs than my normal pre-workout and any other meal, purely because I've broken down all of my glycogen that I stored from that pre-workout meal and anything else before that. So I need to replenish my glycogen stores with some quick digesting carbohydrates, such as cereals. But you don't have to have this. You can literally just have normal carbohydrates, pastas, rices, things like that. If you've got lower calories, you can have Rice Krispie Squares bars, malt loaf's really good. Doesn't particularly matter. Again, it's just that 1%. Once you've got everything nailed in terms of nutritionally, then you can start looking at like the pernickety stuff, like carbohydrate types in terms of where you place them, nutrient timing, that sort of thing as well. But the most important thing is to make sure you are hitting those calories, hitting that protein, and then you can then worry about all the other stuff afterwards. Also, I just realized I haven't actually updated you on how well the quad day went. So today wasn't particularly the best session, and that's the whole point of this channel as well, is like for me to explain to you guys that you're not always gonna have the perfect session. If anything, I probably have more bad sessions sessions, but it's how you kind of respond to that. So I went in with a session with a thought process that was on my mind for the majority of today, and it still is. So I went into the session and did the first exercise, and in the rest period, I had put my watch on the stopwatch time rest period, and my head went straight to that thought process. But I used that thought process as an aggressor for the following set. So I'd go kind of dark thoughts, obviously, into that set, and I ended up hitting some PBs on the hack squat, for example. So, you know, normally I think the previous session I got 10 or 11 reps on the first set of the 2, and I got 14 today. But I knew full well my head wasn't in that session whatsoever, so it wasn't a good one. But equally, sometimes those things can actually help you. So use them to abuse them if you can. But sometimes if you get to the gym and you're not really feeling it, or your head out is elsewhere, it's okay to leave that session and then come back to it later. I've done that before. So if I've got enough time in a day, for example, I will go to the gym, I'll get changed, maybe get warmed up, do the first exercise, for example, or get set it up, and I'm like, actually, after that first set, I'm not really feeling it. My head is not in this session whatsoever. I'll then leave. I'll then go do something else that was on my to-do list for the day, and I'll come back and then I'll be much better for it. Sometimes I'll even move the session to another day. So if you've got space within your schedule to move it to another day, sometimes that can also help. So something I have also been playing with is moving my quad day from a Friday to a Saturday, because on Fridays I have a half day, finish at 1:30 normally, apart from this evening, and then I would normally go straight to the gym after doing kind of 7 hours back to back. My energy is much lower, so on a Saturday I can go first thing in the morning when I'm fresher, more kind of focused on actually what I need to get done in the session. Apart from this week, because I'm going to London tomorrow, I've had to push the session into today, so obviously that's my own fault for doing that, but it was the only way to get the session in because I won't have time tomorrow to do it. So sometimes you got to kind of win some and lose some a little bit, but equally, like, using that aggression that you've got, or that stress that's in your head, as a kind of mechanism to help push you a little bit harder in the session can also help too. Fuck me, I feel like I'm going to be the hunchback of Notre Dame after carrying all this shit. But yeah, just finished with Georgina's session. She smashed it. She was feeling a bit ill. We did 2 sets of everything, but still absolutely smashed the split squats. They're coming on a long way. And any client that says they like split squats, I make it my job for them to make them hate them. Not in obviously a bad way. They're just a horrible exercise in general. But I don't know anyone also likes burpees either. Burpees are like the pinnacle of hatred of exercises. But as you've seen, obviously I'm having to push my noble steed Norman home. It's been like at work for the last 6 months. He's just too rapid for his tires, so the wheels don't actually spin quick enough for him actually moving. So I've got to get that fixed. But yeah, I literally feel like I went to work for a whole year with the amount of stuff I'm having to carry home today. But when I go to London tomorrow, I'm going to try and pack smartly, unlike I have today. But I know full well I probably won't. I've got 13 pairs of dunks to choose from, and I love a good pair of dunks, and I'm so indecisive which ones to take. I'll normally take 3 pairs with an outfit. And every time I pair my outfits together, I have to match the shoes. And some shoes only match one outfit at a time. So if I take that outfit, I have to take that specific pair of shoes with me. I'm going to take my cream of rice, my whey protein, my malt loaf, some easy foods that obviously I can keep out the fridge, that they don't go rotten, so that I can still hit as much of my calories as possible, because I'm on 3,660 calories for the day. So it's going to be really hard to get that in if I'm out and about around London, especially with the prices of food. So that's something I really recommend doing, is if you are bulking right now and you are on a day trip somewhere, take some food with you if you can. Things that are like dry foods like malt loaves, cereal bars, whey protein, and oats, things like that, if you don't like cream of rice, obviously. And that way you can hit some large amounts of your protein through the whey protein. So you could have maybe 2 45-gram scoops. You could have then obviously the oats, cereal bars and stuff like that, to knock out as many carbs as possible, so that when it comes to like evening meals and stuff, you're not stressing that you've not hit your calories for that day. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a tip there for you. Meal 4 about to go down. Today we've got chicken parm without the Parmesan cheese, so it's basically just chicken, steaks, bolognese sauce and pasta. Obviously the missus has got cheese on hers. I couldn't fit the calories in. So obviously, like I said earlier, we've got the protein paste with malt loaf. Now I had to change the quantity of this because I had southern fried chicken steaks from Aldi instead of the normal chicken breaded ones. So 45 grams of whey and 20 grams of malt loaf, which is like the most poverty portion I could ever have of this stuff. But yeah, anything to hit the calories. So I'm actually 17 calories over. Pop the calories for this meal here. Obviously, going to be slightly different to what I put on earlier with the protein in the cereal instead. So it'll be slightly different, but yeah, 17 calories over, which is not bad for today. So if you enjoy today's full day of eating of 500 grams of carbs and it has helped you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you want to see next.